Welcome, everyone. My name is Vicky Iozia, and I'm the co-president of the League of Women Voters of Citrus County.
I don't know what happened.
We have regular monthly meetings, and we have, in addition, nighttime Zoom meetings. We've had the county commissioners who have presented, and we want to give people who might not be able to get to our meetings during the day the opportunity to learn. One of the League of Women Voters' goals is to educate. I got interested in this because I live in Pine Ridge and I don't like the way my road is. So I got on my truck with my camera, had somebody drive me around. Then I started going around to the other neighbors, and they all said the same thing to me. They won't do anything about it. So I started to learn just about what the situation is. And you're going to hear today what the history is of Citrus County roads, what's going on now, and what is going to happen in the future. And I'm trying to figure out why I don't have the speakers here. Are you there?
Yes.
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
Yes.
So would you like to introduce yourselves, please?
Yeah, first of all, Steve Howard, thank you for this opportunity. I was telling, I think, Vicky earlier, I said the good news is everybody at the table's salary employees. So I kid with them, but I thank them for being here tonight, being away from their families, having worked many, many hours already today. What I will tell you, I'm very proud of Team Citrus. I like to underline us in Citrus because it's not about I, it's not about me, it's about us working together as a team. I'm also proud of the Board of County Commissioners' leadership with this kind of a program, this data-based decision-making. And just like you, I was looking at housing and some of the Pine Ridge and other areas like that. And I was driving around when I first got here, like, what's going on with these roads? So part of that, we're gonna do a deep discussion about that tonight. I've got some great subject matter experts who are working very hard to continue to give good customer service to citizens. I use a lot of words sometimes. One time I used a word called that's BS, means before Steve. Another thing is I use is called the F-bomb, means funding. So a lot of this is funding related. So it is something that we got to look at and be honest with ourselves in the future. It's costs lots of money to do roads, and the county's in the top 10 in the state of Florida, how many miles of road we have. So that's challenging as well. But I'm going to turn it over and go around the room and let each staff member introduce themselves. And again, we have some of the best group, I think, in the state at this table in this county. I'm very proud of the leadership that we have here at this table, as well as our partner you're going to listen to in a few minutes. A professional engineer, all those resources we have at Mott MacDonald. So with that, I'm going to turn it over next to Charles.
Hey folks, Charles Leazott. I'm the engineering operations manager here at the county. I kind of drive the pavement management ship for us. I'm also a resident of Pine Ridge and I live on one of those horrible bumpy roads. So I get where everybody's coming from.
Hello, I'm Jamie. I'm the communications manager for Citrus County. I'm not a road expert, but I've been learning a lot from these guys in my position, and I'm looking forward to hearing all of your questions and concerns tonight.
Hello, everybody. I'm Carlton Hall. I'm the Public Works Director for Citrus County. I've been with the county for about 16 years, but I've only been in the Public Works role for about the past 3. So I've been learning as well a lot.
And good evening, everyone. Walt Eastmond, I'm the Technical Services Director. I've been with the county for about 32, 33 years. So I have seen some significant changes to our roadway program and really excited to see this latest version of what we're doing. So very excited about this.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mitch Aiken. I'm the Assistant Public Works Director. I've been with the county about 6 months now. I've got about 20 years of experience and background in heavy civil construction, roadway building, and heavy infrastructure. So I'm excited to be part of the team and move forward with new pavement management system.
Myself, yeah. That's great. And for the audience, if you have questions, we'll have a question period at the end. And I don't think you'll be too shy to be able to actually unmute yourself and ask the question. I want to just show this wonderful in case you need to. Nope, not that one, this one. Okay. This is the one I wanted to show. There they are. All dressed up and smiling.
Not see it.
Yeah, we can't see it on our end.
Oh, there
There
it
it goes.
You got it?
And yeah, Katia hasn't introduced herself yet. She's the star of the show.
Well, like they do in the movies, like they do in the movies. When they have a real special star, they always put that.
Right.
There you
person
go.
in.
There you go.
Well, I'll take a minute to introduce Katia. She's with Mott MacDonald, the county. Went into contract with Mott MacDonald to do our Citrus County Pavement Management Network Condition Program. And Katia has done this before. She's done it for other counties. So we did our due diligence and our research, and we hired them, and we're very happy that they came on board with us and did such a great job. So tonight, the presentation that we're going to present is really Katia's work with conjunction with Charles. So we're going to let her kind of drive the ship for a few minutes, go through these slides, and explain to you everything that the county's done here in the last probably year and a half to make this happen.
Okay, Katia, do you want to take questions at the end, or you want to take them as you're speaking?
Do you have a preference or like habitually that you do, or
You're the star.
I'm comfortable either way. I'm fine if you have questions that come up in between, because sometimes myself I don't jot them down and then at the end I was like, what was I going to ask? And it's gone. So yes, absolutely. Feel free to ask questions during.
Katia, I was
Okay,
gonna ask you a question. Katia, could you just give your background? Just, I think it'd be important for the audience that you're a
Yes.
professional engineer, like that'd be good just to give the background.
Of course. I'm a professional engineer. I have a license both in Florida and Puerto Rico. Have roughly 25 years of experience. For the last 10 to 11 years, specifically in the area of pavement management, but I've worked pretty much all aspects of civil engineering. And before joining Mott MacDonald 3 years ago, I was the pavement manager and later asset manager for Polk County, where I led also the process that this journey that Citrus County is on of implementing a payment management system there as well.
Thank you. I think that's good just for that background. Thank you.
Okay. Do you want to share? Do you want to do the slides yourself, or do you want me to?
Yes, if I can, I guess let me try here hitting the button. Send a request. If not, then absolutely, it's easier for you to
There you go.
show them. Oh, okay. How do I pick which monitor to share? Oh, there we go. Love it. And share. And I believe you're seeing the.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, now, do you see this docking bar at the top? Is that in the way for you or not visible?
You're good. You can see it all.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, number one, thank you very much for the opportunity. I love the fact that your group has so much interest in, it seems like in public works and the infrastructure and what's going on in Citrus County. That is absolutely admirable, because education of the citizens and the residents is really one of the keys that I've been telling Charles and Walt and company that is instrumental in these types of programs being successful. It's not just the technical people at Public Works. It's not just your elected officials. The public really has to have a vetted interest, and the effort of education as well is a big component for these programs being successful. So before I launch this presentation we gave to the board back in November, I don't want to bore you with too many slides, but in essence, what we did was kind of give a summary of the project up to date, what we've done, and the analysis and the results of What is the current network condition? Where is the network right now? And then leading to that, with the guidance from staff, we looked at different funding levels that would be necessary to either maintain the current network condition or improve, so that we could give kind of these guideposts to the Board of Commissioners of, depending on obviously the availability of funds, like Steve said, the F word, funding is key. This is not a different challenge. I mean, this is something we see in local agencies all over. Obviously the big challenge is funding. So both components have to go side by side, right? What can the agency do? What are the available resources? But the gist of payment management is what you do have available. Let's be as smart as we can so that we stretch that dollar to the max, so that we're able to keep the network at the best possible level, given the resources that are available. So before I go into the slide deck, is there any specific area of interest, and did any of you see the presentation when I originally gave it to the board?
I don't know if I saw it, but I want to see it again.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, so that's like, I didn't want to launch into it if like you had all seen it and you just wanted kind of like a summary, but absolutely happy to do that. All right, so let's go into the next slide. Here we go. All right. So like I said, quickly, just an overview of the agenda. I'm going to do a quick review of the project, what we've done so far. To make sure that we have common language and we're understanding each other, I'm going to talk about some concepts, the key performance indicators, just give some brief definitions. And then I'm going to go into how those key performance indicators, or KPIs, what those are right now. Where is the county right now in relationship to those? And then I'm going to talk about the analyses that we've done, like I said, about the different funding levels. And that pretty much will round out the presentation. Obviously, like I said, if you have any questions during, feel free to stop me and ask those, or if you're more comfortable towards the end, whatever works best for you. All right. So Mott MacDonald, the company that I work for, we were retained by the county at the end of 2024, and the project actually began in January of 2025. You might have seen the public service videos that the county put on the YouTube channel when in January, the ICCIMS, this van that you see here in the bottom, the laser vans were driving all over the county. And these vans have a series of scientific instruments, including lasers, that shoot down onto the pavement. And these lasers detect all the cracking and surface defects that the pavement has. They also have 360 cameras, 360-degree cameras mounted on the top that take videos and still photos every certain distance. And that's information that the engineering staff has available to them. So that collection, they drove all the roads in the county, all the asphalt roads in the county. That information is the backbone of the analysis that we performed. So that information, together with the county's decision to use an analytical software that is called Pavement Analyst, that is provided by Trimble. That's the company the software comes from. So that Pavement Analyst, what we did was, after a series of meetings with county staff that we call the discovery sessions, we gathered all the information that we need related to the county's past business processes and current business processes related to pavement management. What has the county done? What have been the efforts, construction history, roads that have been treated in the last, I think we went back as far as 5 years. What are the pavement treatments that you have under contract, or that you maybe don't have under contract, but you want to try, because there are different kind of pavement treatments, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. What are the rules for those pavement treatments? Some agencies like to use, for example, there's a treatment called chip seal. Some agencies like to use it all over, other agencies don't. So what were the rules for those treatments, and how much does it cost the county under the contracts? All of that information, together with the discussions that we had with staff, goes into what is called the decision tree. When and where and how the county wants to use those treatments. So that together with the pavement condition information that was gathered in January forms the backbone in the software. And this is like custom made for Citrus County to analyze, for us to be able to make the analysis and see where the county network currently is. All right. So when we talk about KPIs, key performance indicators, they are metrics that are often used to demonstrate the effectiveness of an agency or an organization in achieving goals. KPIs can be either quantitative, meaning it's a number, it's something that you measure, or they can be qualitative. So there can be descriptive, right? So like good, fair, poor. They can be leading indicators, something that we're looking for into the future, or they can be lagging, something we're taking a shot and looking back and see how things happened. So KPIs really are a very effective use for us to get a sense of the overall health of the roadway network and see how effective we are being, or we are going to be, in the use of the resources and the funding levels that are available. It also helps us see if in the future the county decides to establish certain goals, how can we reach those goals? And so when we talk about pavement management, some of the most common KPIs that we'll talk about and we'll be presenting tonight are pavement condition. You're going to hear me say PCI, that's the pavement condition index. Backlog, I'm going to explain a little bit in a few minutes what backlog is. Percentage miles above or below a certain threshold, how many miles are treated, remaining service life, and remaining asset value. What KPIs an agency adopts or needs really depends exactly on what are the goals, what is the agency aiming for. And those KPIs, we can kind of slice and dice them in different formats. So we can look at the network level, right? Helicopter way up here, or we can go down to say like pavement types. So let's look specifically at asphalt roads, or in Citrus County, you have different surface types. So we can look at the statistics down to that granular level. One of the big metrics that we set up together discussing with staff when we were doing the discovery sessions is what we call the pavement condition states. These 5 states that you see here, very good, good, satisfactory, poor, and very poor, represent PCI ranges. And the PCI is a scale from 100 to 0, where 100 is a brand new road, excellent condition, down to 0, which is a completely destroyed road. And so you can see here how the descriptive condition state, right, very good, goes from 90 to 100, et cetera, down to very poor, which is anything below a 40. So in the case of Citrus County, the county chose to describe satisfactory, so anything that is satisfactory, as a 60 or above, right? So that would be satisfactory, good, or very good, and anything below satisfactory as a 59 and down. So the statistics that I'm going to be talking about here shortly, I'm going to keep referring to these condition states. Any questions so far? All right. So we're going to start at the network level, at the helicopter level, right? When we did the analysis to see what is the current network condition, and we looked at all the miles of road in the county, which, by the way, it's approximately 1,880 miles of paved road that you have. The average network PCI, or pavement condition index, is the 55.37. Now, if you go back to that condition state scale that we have, that means that on average, the network is in poor condition, right? That 55 lies in this 40 to 59 range that I'm pointing at here. The approximately 51% of the miles in the network are below satisfactory level. So just above half of the network is below satisfactory level, meaning that 51% of the miles of roadway have a PCI of 59 or less. And this is a map showing the roadway network kind of color coded by that by the condition states, just to illustrate, so you can kind of see, different areas of concentration that are in better, that color coded, like I said, by the condition state. Red being the very poor, the green being very good, and kind of indicates, gives you a sense of how the network is looking. So right now, your roadway network is divided in what's called functional class. Functional class is a term used to classify roads based on their function. Roads in general have certain functions. Bigger roads like your arterials and your collectors generally move large volumes of traffic from large geographic areas. Then you have other collectors that move, like for example, between cities, and then you have your local roads, which usually you're talking about your subdivision roads, your residential roads. Right now, of the 1,800 plus miles that you have, roughly 51% of the network is classified as local. The other 49% then is distributed among the different categories of arterials and collectors, and there's 1% that are alleys currently. These classifications, and I do not have it in here. These classifications are, if you have any questions about them, they're actually defined by your land development code that you can find on the county's website as well. So when we look at how the network is, what's the network condition by functional class, and right, this pie chart, we're only looking at your local roads. So remember that was roughly 51% of your network is local. Approximately 53% of your local roads, including your alleys, are below satisfactory condition. That 53 is this 34 that represents the very poor, plus the 19 that is in poor condition. When we look at your arterials and collectors, and I'm not sure why the numbers aren't showing up. Let me back up here. When we look at your arterials and collectors, approximately 39% of those fall below satisfactory level, which is, again, not sure why the numbers aren't showing, but it would be the red and orange slice here. Let me see if I can get it to.
I have the numbers here. The red is 17% and the orange
17.
There it went.
is 22%.
It
I don't know.
It showed up just as you left.
Yeah, it skipped right to the next one. But okay, so you do have access to the slide deck. That was one of my questions if you had it. Okay. Now we're going to look at the network by commissioner district. So the table here is the bars above just represent the numbers that are down in the table. When you look at it, Commissioner District 3 has overall more total miles than any other commissioner district. They account for roughly 30% of the network. But when we look at it proportionally, Commissioner District 4 actually has a greater percentage of miles under satisfactory condition, with approximately 59% of the roads in Commissioner District 4 falling below satisfactory. So this column that you have here is the percent of roads in each commissioner district. Their total miles are here. Miles above satisfactory and sorry, not miles, percentage above satisfactory and percentage below satisfactory. Okay. The next KPI that I want to talk with you about is backlog. So backlog is a very interesting concept that is very useful actually to agencies to see how effective they're being in using the resources that they have available. Backlog, the concept of backlog is all the road repairs and the maintenance that needs to be done. So we know that it needs to be done, but it hasn't been funded yet. When backlogs grow, what it shows us is that the budget isn't sufficient to keep up with the deterioration, the wear and tear of your roads. So your roads are getting worse faster than the money that is available to repair them. That's the concept of backlog. Why is backlog important? Well, because much like your house or your car, when you do preventive maintenance on them, say for your car, you do a periodic change of oil and filter, or at least I hope you do. You do that, it's an expense, a routine expense that you have, but it's a relatively low cost expense that you do, knowing that it's going to save you down the road from having to change your transmission or do a major transmission work. So the concept of pavement management is the same. We try to do preventive maintenance, preservation treatments to keep the good roads in good condition as long as possible. And at the same time, that comes at a lower cost that hopefully down the line affords us the ability to be able to also focus on the roads that we know need some kind of major work or reconstruction. When we delay treatment of roads, then that's when we see our backlog grow. And as our backlog grows, that means that down the line, we're facing more expenses to be able to maintain or improve our network. So how do we manage backlog? That's where pavement management and pavement preservation strategies come in. The current backlog of the county is a combination of these three graphs that you see here. The treatments that the county uses are kind of divided into three buckets. One of them being preservation, which is kind of like akin to what I said, that oil and filter change. The other one's rehabilitation. So those can be minor, a little bit more invasive treatments, but not to the level of full reconstruction. Some roads are really just so far gone that you basically have to reconstruct them. And that is the last bar that you see. So combined, all of these three budget needs that you have here form a backlog of approximately $714 million, if I'm not mistaken. And that is the current backlog that the county has. I believe in the first presentation that I gave, the network worth of your roads, sometimes people forget your network is an asset, and an asset is something that has value. So the network asset value of your network is, don't have the number offhand, but it was
1.5 billion.
I was going to say it's close to 1.5 or 1.6 billion. So we're talking that your backlog is close to half, right now, half of the value of your network. All right. So we performed using the software that I talked about at the beginning. We performed a series of analyses that we call optimization analyses that helps us determine the current network condition. That's how all these statistics that I've shown you, that's how we got them. It also helps us look at what happens when we have different funding levels. It's kind of those big what if questions. What if there's a budget cut? What if all of a sudden the county gets a grant and there's extra money? So this software helps us answer those kinds of questions. And it also, the end product also is to help Charles in particular be able to every year generate his annual work plan. So out of the analysis, along with all the statistics that come out of it, comes a list of recommended projects that then Charles elaborates into the annual work plan, which is the work that the contractors would perform. When we talk about the optimization analyses, a couple of things that I want to let you know is all the analyses were performed in today's dollars. Although in the software you can account for inflationary parameters, and some agencies do. Some agencies, for example, will ask us, well, add 3% inflation each year, recognizing that especially around asphalt products, construction costs generally tend to go up year by year. But right now, just for the purposes of this starting point, we didn't use any of those parameters. So all the analyses are done in today's dollars. You're also going to be hearing me talk about constrained and unconstrained scenarios. When we talk about, and a scenario is that what if, right? That's the analysis that we do. When we talk about constrained scenarios, it's that we're putting some kind of limitation on the scenario. That limitation could be, for example, Some agencies will say, out of my total budget that is, for example, $10 million, I want to dedicate $3 million to reconstruction and $7 million to the rest of the treatments. So that is a constraint that is applied. When we say unconstrained scenario, we're basically telling the software, this is the funding that I have. Give me the best mix of projects with what I have. And we let the software then, based on all the rules and the decision trees and everything that I explained earlier that are programmed in there, we let the software recommend what's the best course of action. All the analyses were performed for a period of 10 years so that we could visualize and see if there were any trends that were visible. But when Charles actually does his analysis to create his work plans, he'll most likely do it for a 5-year period. Usually we tend to see that after 5 years, it's a guessing game. There are a lot of elements that change, obviously year to year. But for the purposes of just kind of seeing the big picture, it's pretty standard for us to do a 10-year analysis. And the scenarios that we looked at, and that I'm going to be showing you here in a second, is the current funding level. And I'm going to be, that's the first slide that I'm going to show you. And then a series of different annual funding levels that the county asked us to look at to be able to achieve the different condition states that we talked about earlier. So this first one that we're seeing is comparing the current funding level for this year, which is $16.2 million. And that's this blue line that you see up top, blue continuous line, to an unfunded scenario. And unfunded is, we're saying if the county did nothing for the next 10 years, no funding, no kind of work for the next 10 years, what happens to the network? And that's this dashed red line that you see here in the bottom. So starting at the current condition here in year 26, we see that on that, if the county were to do nothing, the pavement condition would continue to deteriorate into the year 2035 down to roughly about 35 PCI, which is in the very poor category, right? At the current level of funding, if they were to have $16.2 million every year for the next 10 years, we see that the pavement, the network condition continues to deteriorate, but obviously at a much slower rate than the unfunded level. And this is because this is telling us that $16.2 million does not cover the needs that you have in the network. So that if you think about a bucket of water and you have a hole in the bottom of the bucket and you're pouring water to the top, well, if the water escaping into the bottom is faster than the water that you're pulling into the top, it's never going to fill. And that's what this is showing us, that $62 million is doing something, but it's not enough to even maintain your current network condition. So the network condition would continue to deteriorate. So then the obvious question is, well, what can we do to turn the tide, right? So that's what this graph is showing us. This is different funding levels that we looked at to see where we are. This bottom green line is the current, again, assuming that you had 16.2 million for the next 10 years. We already saw that one. Then we looked at, well, what would it roughly take to maintain the current level, just where we are right now? Remember, that was roughly a 55.4 PCI network wide. Well, it's close to $30 million a year, right? So that would be this orange line. You see, it's a little wobbly. Don't think of it like specific points. I always say it's kind of like a band, but it would roughly take about $30 million just to stay where you are right now. And that were like, if nothing else changed, let's say, the county miles don't change, don't grow, you don't get more miles of road into your network. If nothing else changed, you'd be looking at about $30 million a year. Then we said, well, what would it take to get in the next 10 years into satisfactory, get to at least satisfactory? And that's the blue line, $45 million at right around year 10. The network condition you see it start to slowly improve, and right around year 10, it gets into satisfactory condition. And then obviously we just, for kicks and giggles, right? If we had $65 million, what happens? Well, by year 2029, we would break that plane of satisfactory, and you see that the network condition continues to improve. This is not to say that we're saying you have to go and get $65 million every year, right? What we're doing is presenting the Board of Commissioners, like these are the different funding scenarios and how your network would behave. And then obviously these are decisions that the Board of Commissioners needs to take along with their citizens. And I know there are some consultations that are happening in those regards, but it's to show you what are the next steps, where you are today, and what are the next steps, and where do you want to go, right? And what would be needed to get there? So much like if you're taking a trip, you need to have either a GPS or a map. If you're still old school like I kind of am, you need to know where you started and where you're going, and that map or that GPS is going to help you get there. Well, that's what this program really is all about. And that actually leads into that summary last slide, right? So we know where we are today, which is absolutely fantastic. We have really good data. The condition survey, the county will be doing that approximately every 2 years. So every 2 years we'll have a snapshot again of what the condition data is, and every year Charles will be doing analyses to go against that guidepost, see where we started now in 2026 and how things are, where that needle's moving as we progress and go along. So that is pretty much it in a nutshell, but I am more than happy to answer any questions that came up, and I hope I didn't put you all to sleep too early.
Thank you, Katia.
Oh, Vicky, you're on mute.
Do you want to stop sharing?
Yeah, sure. Let me see if I know which button. Oh, here we go. Stop. There you go.
Wow, I see this and I'm glad I'm not one of the commissioners.
We were going to ask you all, since you're on, you got a lot of your board members here who says, so if you could go establish a GoFundMe account, that might be helpful. We appreciate that, but I do want to say, you got to know where you are to get better. And I threw my back out about a month ago. So I had to go to a chiropractor. It wasn't Commissioner Kennard, full disclosure. The person I get in there, they want to do an x-ray. I'm like, well, I don't want an x-ray. I mean, I think it's right here. And they're like, we got to do an x-ray, Steve. So that's really what we did. We x-rayed all these roads and to see what the conditions are. And that's going to be very helpful. So there is a big F-bomb at the end of this, but we got to know what we're up against. And at least we have data. You can get your vehicle today in Pine Ridge and drive to, there's actually a county called Florida, New Mexico. That's how many miles of road we have in this county. Get the car, go all the way there. That's how many miles of road. You look at it that way, that's a lot of roads. Just like you said earlier, in your own, subdivisions and stuff, you might see these roads, and also some of the developments, should have never been accepted, and they were. That's history. That's back there. And I always say there's no excuses now. What can we do with the data that we have and stretch that taxpayer dollars? That's really what we're trying to do as a team, to do that. And we're the messenger, and we're going to be transparent about it and tell you the truth. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We can only tell you what it is, and it's challenging. Budgeting at a county government, because we have to pay for all the constitutional officers as well, public safety and all those things. So those are all challenging things. And even at the local legislators, Tallahassee, good folks, they're talking about do away with property taxes and all those things. Well, that's where some of that funding comes from, is actually the roads and the sheriff and other things. So it's tough. This is tough to stretch those dollars. But with this data and the team we have in place, we're going to do just that. So I'm very proud of the proactive approach that we're doing. We're not doing it in the back of a pickup truck anymore. We're actually doing this now, saying, here's what we're doing. All that's good stuff. Like I said, we're going to try to recruit you on our team. But I do think, the data can help us and assist us, and with Katia and all the good work she does great work up in Polk. For 5 years, I did most of the administration for Sheriff Grady Judd, America's sheriff. And she did great work up in Polk County. I was so glad to have her on our team. To have this kind of professional level is pretty impressive. To augment our team and our staff. So I'll be quiet, but again, thank you for the opportunity to present. And we are doing the best we can with the taxpayer dollars. We're doing that, and we're very transparent. Reach out to us. I have a 7-year-old, like Motel 6, the light's always on. So come and engage us. If you go on our website, look up the county administrator, print out my picture, no bugs for a year, for one thing. You can do that at your house. And then if you click the email address, that comes to me. That's important to me to connect with folks within this community. That's my commitment to this county. So it's not going to go to some third party. It's going to be out there. If you send it to me, you're going to get it to me, and we're going to actually engage. So come see us. It's important to come see us about any subject that you want to talk about.
Do we have questions? Linda?
Yeah. My question is, okay, we know we are not in a good place as far as the roads are concerned in the county. So how do you start to fix it, given the funding that you have? Do you just do the majority of the work to keep the roads as good as they are or as bad as they are now without getting worse? Or are you looking at doing some total reconstruction?
Katia, you or me?
I can start and you can chip in. How about we do that? All right. So actually, out of the analysis that we worked on, and Charles and I are right now in the process of, like I said, the analysis produced what is a recommended work plan, right? The projects that it recommends as the best mix. What we're doing right now is taking that mix of projects and it has some preservation treatments. In year one, I'll be honest, it's trying to do a lot of preservation because what we found is the county has a lot of roads right now that are on that cusp of just at satisfactory and in danger of falling into the poor category. And so what the software is saying is right now, you are just in time to do something on these roads that has a lower cost to keep them in that satisfactory. So in year one, it is trying to do a lot of preservation. What is preservation? So the county actually has contracts of different pavement treatments, and that's some of the discussions that we're having right now. Preservation treatments can be things like chip seal, which if some of you are from up north, you're probably familiar with those. Those are very commonly used up north. There are other treatments called microsurfacing. There's also a thin asphalt layer lift that some agencies consider as preservation. There are also projects being recommended for minor rehabilitation, and those are the ones that you're probably more familiar with, what we call mill and fill, right? When they come and peel that old layer of asphalt on and put on a brand new coat. And then there are some projects that are being recommended for reconstruction. Along with the regular budget that you have, you also have some funding that you get from the state. And Charles, if you want to elaborate a little bit more on the SCOP funding, those go to some of the bigger major reconstruction projects that you're seeing.
Thank you, Katia. I'll actually let Walt take over for the Scott projects.
Yeah, each year, since we're still considered a small county by DOT standards, we're still eligible for SCOP funding, Small County Outreach Program. We get about $1.8 million a year from DOT. However, those dollars are only limited to functionally classified roads. In other words, the major roads, 491, 581, Apopka, Gospel Island, Mustang, those type of roadways. If you live in Pine Ridge, you'll see where our stormwater crew has already been out prepping that road, cutting the shoulders back, doing drainage repairs in preparation for the resurfacing of Mustang from 491 down to Mesa Verde. If you live in Inverness area, you'll see where same thing on Apopka. We were doing a lot of drainage retrofits in preparation for the milling and paving of Apopka. So we're after doing a lot of work in preparation for the resurfacing of those major roads through the SCOP program. The dollars we get, like I said, 1.8 million, it's roughly a 75-25 match that we get from the state. So we try to keep our funding close to that. There's some instances where we go almost 50-50, but it depends upon the project and the length of the road. But that's essentially the SCOP program. It's for the major roads.
Did you mention the 5-year?
Yeah, and just to explain, the SCOP program is programmed 5 years out. So Charles and I just worked recently on the 5th year, with 2030, 2031.
Or 30.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're actually working 5 years in advance
So the Apopka project this year, we
programmed 5 years ago.
knowing it was going to happen.
Right.
So the 16.5 or whatever million that you have this year, that's just Citrus County funds. That doesn't include any other funding for roads from other sources. Right. Okay. Thank you.
That is correct. Yep.
Something a little different that we're doing now that we didn't do in years past is now that we have all this great data that Mott MacDonald and Katia put together for us, we have the ability to try to spend every dollar we can as wisely as possible. We're not just going out and just picking the worst roads with the most houses on it as we were in the past. We're actually going to spend every dollar to preserve the roads we currently have and do the most amount with the 16.2 that we currently have in the budget.
And part of the software, what it tries to do is, again, as Katia mentioned, is optimize the dollars. So it's not chasing that PCI score, and it's not just trying to get rid of the backlog. It's actually trying to balance all of that. It's quite amazing software.
And Katia, can you pull, or perhaps you can share your screen again? You had a bar chart that showed the different treatments this year.
I have a screenshot. I have a screenshot of that. Let me find that for you real quick. But I have it on hand. I can actually pull it up and share my screen with you.
So what Katia, the treatments that Katia was talking about, the reconstruction, the minor rehab, she was speaking the 5 years that she mentioned that we look for. Those are the treatments that we expect to see in the next 5 years. Linda, to answer your question directly, in the immediate future, what you're seeing there and all that pink right there, the system recognizes, Katia mentioned, that there is a significant amount of our roadway that is on the cusp of going from barely okay to all of a sudden we're going to have to reconstruct it. And reconstructing, the difference here is preservation being anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 a mile, to reconstruction being $1.2 million a mile. Massive difference. So the system recognizes you got a lot that you can do at $60,000 to $80,000 a mile to stop it from becoming $1.2 million a mile. These treatments, or like Katia said, we're looking at things like chip seals. And again, you may or may not be familiar with that treatment. That treatment is a brand new riding surface. It's no longer this all your way home, but it's not having to completely rebuild the road yet. It's just we're stopping the bleeding, Linda, is what we're doing. We're going to maximize the dollars to stop this from becoming more expensive while we reconstruct in the future. As you can see, the reconstruction is starting to happen. So the first thing is the triage and stop the bleeding. And the system is doing that exactly as advertised.
And I guess the difficulty here for you all, as well as the county commissioners, is really explaining that to the public for the person that has a road that they're bumping all the way home versus one that's a little bit bad and can be made to last longer without doing major work. So I'm sure you all are taking heat for that, as well as the county commission.
It's a lot of education. I believe Peggy, I saw your comment pop up there that we need to do a better job educating the community about this stuff. And as you can imagine, I get a lot of phone calls every day. And I take each individual opportunity to educate them, because I know they're going to go, that's correct. And I know they're going to go tell their friends and their friends. And it's a very slow process. I even bring folks from the community, even in Pine Ridge, right into my office so I can show them one-on-one what is going on, so that they have a better understanding of what it is that we are doing. So education is happening. And even as we do these treatments, we are going to start putting out door hangers as we do these different treatments, so that the citizen knows what's about to happen, what they're about to see beforehand. And if they have questions, they can reach out. So I'm very excited. I'm very proud of these guys. So very thankful for the commissioners for allowing this to happen. We can finally get control of our network. Hopefully that answers everybody's question.
I think I heard at some point, maybe when we were talking, Steve, that we'll be able to look on the website to see what the priorities are for different roads.
The priorities? What do you mean by the priorities?
So they can see the list of the work programs we have for this year, I think is what you're
Yes.
saying.
Oh, yeah. Work programs, as soon as it comes out within, as fast as Jamie can get it uploaded, it'll be uploaded for everyone. Yep. And I believe the data is the data live right now with the PCI? Katia, did Cindy push that yet?
I don't believe so, but she can always extract it and push it, and so you can actually post that map that I showed on the county's GIS.
Yes. So maybe Vicky, that answers your question. That we'll soon have all the data that we got live, so everyone can see it live and see what's happening. Yeah.
And Rosemary, I think you had a question.
And I thank you for the detailed information. I'm still processing, literally.
It's a lot.
It is.
Well, welcome to the club.
Yeah. So I agree with Peggy and Linda that it becomes a PR problem. And, you know, I know you have someone on staff, but I'm wondering what, other than your website, which was just mentioned, I know there was a pretty good article, pretty detailed article in the Chronicle about a month ago. These are all good, but how do we get the average person who maybe sees the work being done on a road that they say, well, that's not that bad. Why aren't they fixing such and such road? Kind of what Linda said. Do you use social media? What are the ways to get to the younger voters or the people who don't get the paper, who, you know, don't go to a meeting like this? You know, wish we'd had more people, but somehow or other we have to find ways to meet people where they are in terms of educating, and so that may not, you know, may look different for different people.
Yeah, we do have on social media, we're quite active on Facebook. We have an Instagram, LinkedIn, and we're also on Nextdoor. And we have a video series on YouTube. It's called Citrus County in Focus. You'll see Steve doing the speaking bits on there. And we do a lot of road updates. So we try to do bite-sized videos. They're usually 2-minute segments on different road projects. And yeah, so that's one way to keep up to date.
And it is difficult, getting the messaging out. I have a lot of citizens say, hey, I don't do Facebook either. So it's tough to get that message out. And so I go all over myself too. I've got 7 speaking engagements in the next 6 weeks. Feels like I'm campaigning for something, but I'm out there telling the story, trying to do that and explaining that, take the show on the road and things like that. So, but you can be great ambassadors for us as well. This is all good input and feedback. And the more you can share with your group and others, we want to share that information. That's helpful to us to meet people where they're at. I'm going to do some other strategies with town halls and things like that in the future. We're going to try to do as much as we can, but it's always difficult, to kind of communicate with folks. So you're always looking at how can we do it better? We're trying to do our best. Our statistics last year was pretty amazing. I think we had over 1 million hits on websites and everything like that. So we're doing a lot of that to try to do things a lot differently to get the messaging out. But those are all good points. But if anything you can do to help us or suggestions, feedback, input, we're appreciative of that. Like tonight, we're appreciative of that as well. So you can go out and tell your neighbors and others.
I'll go around and tell my neighbors because I went around the first time. I'm going to go around again. How much is the 1 cent sales tax? How much of a dent is it going to make in the money that's needed?
Yeah, I think it's, that there's only 2 counties in the state of Florida that don't have a penny tax, and it's us in Collier County. Just kind of sad, I'll be honest with you. So you're leaving a lot of money on the table, but if the board would put, it depends on how that works. There's no guarantees this is even going to go to the ballot yet. That's all those things, but it would be significantly helpful. I mean, that's millions of dollars that could put towards this kind of a program, meaningful. So it's going to be challenging this next budgeting cycle to make that money up. We had to get creative to get the money we had. We actually, Walt's been here for 37 years. I went back and looked at 15 years. At one point, there's maybe like $1 million going to road resurfacing, other things like that. nothing against the past, but who knows what their challenges were back then. We've increased it over 1,000% over multiple years back and about over 300% in the last 36 months. Historical numbers of what we're doing, it's not sustainable. It's an F-bomb funding. So we're doing a lot of creative things in the budgeting, but you got to have more funding to do this because you have a lot of roads. So that would be hopeful. We got the citizens actually have to initiate some of that, to go vote for those kind of things. And I think you got to be transparent with it. But I think this is a great opportunity. If there's enough funding to put towards roads and things like that, this would be very helpful, to put towards that. And also the tax at the gas pumps, I get a lot of emails on that. That's not enough. You don't get millions and millions of dollars there. We don't have enough to do it. And our tax is the same as the region. A lot of people say we have the most taxes. That's not accurate or factual either. Data is put out every year on that. If you can look at that, it's the same in surrounding counties. But it is an F-bomb. It's a funding issue that, it's not sustainable now. But that is something that's left to be on the table that I think would be advantageous to this community. So hopefully voters will get that to the voters at some point. I can't advocate for it other than it would be a great option to do that, especially if you have tourists and everybody else actually help paying for that. That's a good day anytime somebody else helps pay for it that's coming into your community.
And Rosemary, I would add that if you recall Katia's slide, she showed you the different funding level scenarios.
Yes.
And what happens. And I believe Katia was at the 30 million range that the network stays in the poor condition that it's in.
It stays roughly the same where we are.
Stays exactly the same. So that's what 30 million does.
And we've heard different numbers, as far as sales tax. I mean, they've come up with guesstimates of what that would be. But I can tell you, 2 years ago, the county put record-breaking funds, $13+ million into road resurfacing. Last year, we put nearly 18 million plus into road resurfacing. This year, 16.2. So we put more in the last 3 years, and I think they put in the last 12 years combined. So it's a big step in the right direction.
Which is good. I was gonna say I like engagement. So I do a Sunday commentary. We did the annual report, and I actually showed that back 36 months, everything measured, milestones, everything that we measured, and accomplishments. And one citizen came back and said, "You should be bragging. That's not big numbers." And I'm like, "I'm not bragging. I'm being transparent." So part of this is being transparent. Say this is where we're at. I'm being honest with you and saying once and for all, this is where you're at. We can talk about the problem. We can explain the problem, but let's solve the problem. That's what we're trying to do is how do we take action steps to try to solve it? And it's a lot. It's mind-boggling. You look at 700. It's almost people want to go, we just can't do it. We can't accomplish it. But you got to continue to work towards that goal of making improvements.
And to give you a little bit of perspective, and it's no solace for you as a resident of Citrus County, but to give you a little bit of perspective, your situation is not unique. You look at Hillsborough County, which is right next to you guys, Polk County as well. Their needs are also right around that $45–50 million for their network. In the case of Polk County, they need about $45 million to maintain the condition where they are. And Hillsborough, I think last time we looked, it was about a $47 million, again, to maintain, not improve, just maintain where they are. And in their case, contrary to one of the initiatives that the Board of Commissioners in Citrus did do, they continue to accept local roads from new developments. So their network continues to grow, and that's a big challenge that they're facing.
Yeah, as I say, there's a big win with the commissioners about 2 years back, and they said no. So that's what we needed to do that to stop the bleeding. So that was a big proactive step.
Yeah, so from here on forward, anyone who comes in and let's just say they're going to do a neighborhood of 300 homes, it's on them to come up with the plan on how to maintain their network of roads as well as stormwater, because the county is not taking on any more residential roads for maintenance.
Oh, that's important for people to hear. Very important.
Increased impact fees. We're trying to get concurrency back, which was taken away many years ago. So there's a lot of proactive things we're trying to do to put some more tools in the toolbox.
I'd like to ask a follow-up. So we're, in order to get the funding, we're looking at the possibility of a 1% sales tax, which we know is iffy. Is there any movement in the state legislature recognizing that this is a problem all over the state to help counties with their roads?
I doubt. I mean,
or any other, I guess, but the rest of what I was thinking is, What are the other possibilities? You know, it seems like the 1% sales tax seems to be our only possibility.
That's a good tool. I would tell you the unfunded mandates continue to, about 35% of our budget is unfunded mandates. The state continues to push on us, unfortunately. So it's challenging, I think, to get funding from the state. The Scott programs are doing that, but I think every time I talk to our legislators and say, hey, help us, they're like, oh, just like Katia just said, other counties have the same issues, and it doesn't go very far. It's a lot of money that others need to as well. It's pushed down, at the local. So it is challenging. It's a challenging spot we're in, but I think hopefully there's some opportunities for that penny tax potentially. I can't advocate for it, but maybe folks look at it and maybe an option. I don't know how that works out with how they divide it up, but that would definitely be a resource that could be put to good use with this type of program.
I know Jeff Kennard said he has gotten the message loud and clear that people want 100% of that 1 cent sales tax to go for roads. He said that at the BOCC meetings.
And we just had a sidebar here at our house, and I'm sure you folks are probably not able to comment on it, but our concern is if the homeowners, the homesteaded property tax is eliminated at worst or greatly reduced, that's going to have a huge impact on all of this. I can't even imagine how. There seems to be no plans for how to make up that money. But at the same time, that there could be a ballot initiative from the county about raising taxes. I see a lot of taxpayer confusion, and you know, we can do whatever we can to help educate, I'm sure, speaking out of turn perhaps, but educating is our job.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, well, in the League of Women Voters, we encourage people to vote, and we encourage them to have an educated vote. So I know I made all my notes here, and we will do everything we can to get this video because people should know what they're voting for. Do any of our speakers want to have the last word? Katia, do you want to have the last word?
I will say, number one, I absolutely applaud what you're doing. My message for my nephews and nieces as they were growing has always been, I don't care what you vote for, but you better get out and vote and have an educated vote, know what you're voting for. So absolutely applaud your efforts. And like I said, your interest in this subject is commendable. My kudos also to the county because this isn't a unique situation, but we more often see agencies burying their heads in the sand, not wanting to look at the problem that's ahead of them. And that we know that's not going to make it better. But Citrus has said, no, we're going to face this monster. We know it's a big challenge, but we have to start somewhere. And if you don't do that, then really nothing's going to change. So absolutely applaud the county for taking this initiative. They are, they are going with cutting edge, best business practices that are recognized nationwide. So, it'll be slow. I won't lie. It'll be a slow tide, but they are headed in the right direction.
Okay, thank you to all our speakers. And thank you to our audience. And everybody, have a good
Very
night.
helpful.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night. Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Have a good evening.